señalaron. Dijeron igualdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todos se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hasta dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nati Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi visión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
All right. Rise up, everybody. Sorry if I sound monotone, Kimber, but you already know I got a bone to pick with people in these comments, so I'm gonna take it very seriously today. You know, since I've been giggling too much. So yeah, welcome to the National Morning Show. My name is Isaac Jasper. This is Ikemba Ojore. Dr. Balante is what I want to call you.
We ain't gotta go there, man. Too many expectations, man. They might want me to start enunciating, things like that.
And but they don't speak Spanish. There's some subtitles, option for subtitles. If it isn't on there, then I apologize. But yeah, that is the comrade Fernando and his group. And so yeah, I want to give a shout out to there. How you feeling today, Kimba?
Hey, I'm not 100%, but I'm getting there. But I'm happy to be here, back at it. I think this is the first time I've been back. First time doing the Rise Up since the change in the intro, as far as the images.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was dope. Oh, I love it, man. I love it. I love the setup, man. Whoever was the mastermind behind that, big up to them. They did an awesome job.
Shout out to Natasha, and I would give credit to myself, but I did that like 2 episodes ago.
Why you always downplaying yourself, man?
Nah, it's just one of those.
Big up to you.
It's just one of the things, Try not to give myself too much credit. I think it's maybe not wanting to fall into that trap of narcissism, because you could fall into that trap real easy.
Yeah. No, I'd be the same way, man. There's a lot of things I've been involved in that, I've never taken credit for. People won't know unless somebody else says something. But to me, it's about just the work, man. And this revolutionary work, I look at it as a fit anyway. Whatever done, whatever contribution that I've had in it, or towards the objective, I'm always looking at it as a collective effort. The organization, the institution, we did it, as a group. You know what I'm saying? So we all going to take credit for it. But that's always been my mindset, man.
Yeah. And I I like that you said that, like the collective, because that's kind of how I see like what we do here on the Rise Up Show, and like even on my own platform too. Like I've taken time to shout out, like incorporate some of the things that we do here over there, so that like the viewers, it kind of like it's like an easy transition from like one channel to the to the next. Like, oh, okay, let's see what BPM is doing. Okay, well, it's kind of similar to what 10 Network is doing, just 100 times better. 100 times more organized, because we have a cadre. So yeah, no, I'm for one deeply proud of what we've been able to do here. What we'll continue to do. To everybody that's a part of the Rise Up Show, whether you're we do have some production going on the back burner. Things come in into fruition, and so yeah, just stay tuned. I would say everybody, if you really do like the content and you like what we're doing, you like the guests that we have, whether it be any of the Black Panther, BLA former leaders, members, whether it be some of the geopolitical analysts that we have on, we're going to continue to do that work and give you guys especially a different show every single day, because you don't want to, as much as consistency is key, consistency is death. And so, trying to be a little bit more on the, not giving you the same shit every single day. I'm trying to come up with different words for simple shit. So,
no doubt. Hey, you got me scared to laugh right now. You said you was.
I'm a laugh regardless.
So you was getting it for nah, but this weekend too. Just wanted to give a shout out to the several organizations involved. I think it was the protest rally in Philadelphia. Took place on Saturday. This Saturday that has organization that organized it was the Answer Coalition. But there was like All African People's Revolutionary Party involved, Black Alliance for Peace. We Charge Colonialism endorsed it as well. North Philly Peace Park and a few other organizations endorsed a march and rally just to raise awareness on what's going on in Congo. And we went over to the Apple store just to bring awareness to Apple, the company's participation or their complicity, and whether large, but their complicity or involvement in what's going on in the Congo, and those blood minerals, man, from the coltan, to the cobalt, these are blood minerals. So just like bringing awareness, and it was, I don't know, it was I was happy or excited about the March of Raleigh, because you don't see a lot around Congo, attention being paid to a lot of other places around the world, and rightfully so. I think we have to pay equal attention to the genocide, the ethnic cleansing, the humanitarian crisis that is taking place around the world as a result of imperialism, right? And this international political economy, capitalist economy that we're all a part of. Right. So just to see like the people, you can tell like the people were like, what the hell? They're probably so used to hearing protests around Palestine, right? And they see us, coming through talking about Congo. You can tell like the people were just like not aware of what's happening in Congo, or Apple's connection or the link with and so it was a powerful, I think, march in Raleigh, and something came from it, for sure.
And that's something I want to highlight, something that you said in regards to like people not really understanding how there is multiple genocides going on as we speak. We just are highlighting super heavily the one that's being sent to us via our phones on Instagram, Twitter, whatever app that you use that's owned by some, rich white ass oligarch, is showing and depicting exactly what's happening in Palestine. But we also have videos of the Congo as well. It's not bombs being dropped in the Congo. It's relatively children being exploited and told to mine coltan and cobalt so that we could have, our phones and stuff like that, so that we can have our laptops, so that we could use StreamYard, so that we can do stuff like this. And I think it's kind of like, it comes to me in two forms. It comes to me in as a slap in the face to the diaspora, because we consistently keep being put at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to acceptance, being, people actually going out there and saying free Congo. It's like we have to hear a free Palestine and then a free Congo after that, it seems now. I'm just calling out the obvious, Secondly, it comes off as a form of colorism. I'm just gonna point it out. I feel deeply frustrated with the community here that says that they're leftists, because I feel like it's deeply entrenched in a facade, a fabricated, it's performative, to say the least, and being performative during a time period where we have actual brothers and sisters abroad that are being subjugated to some of the most horrible atrocities known to man. I find it, as a roundabout, a slap in the face, And so, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I speak to people and like, call the Congo. It's like, yes, how do you think you got your fucking phone? A child was exploited, motherfucker. Like, you don't, like, that didn't resonate in your head that somehow, some way, these resources were extracted, and then the people who extracted them have been exploited by a puppet government system that works in reciprocity with imperialism to make sure that that region continues to be destabilized, and that there isn't ever a Patrice Lumumba that pops up, out of the Congo ever again. That's, again, we talk about that, we don't talk about it, to be honest. But
and I mean that's how capitalism works when we talk about Congo and that history. Just going back to just some of the things that I was even talking about on Saturday. But my first introduction to Congo was a documentary on King Leopold, which was based on King Leopold's Ghost, that book. And I would later read the book, but just going into that history and how rubber was a commodity that was of high demand at that time, going back to the early 20th century. But it represents a microcosm of capitalism, how capitalism developed, from its very inception. The oppression and exploitation of a people's land, their resources, and the labor itself. Capitalism has always thrived through slave labor, through the enslavement of non-European people. I mean, they started with their own people, to be honest, but as far as the expansion of capitalism around the world, that came at the expense of African people and indigenous people all around the world. And when you look at what's happening today in America, we don't see that even as a colonized people, here, right? Many of our people still don't understand how we are being oppressed and exploited and how we're colonized, but they also don't see how, the same enslavement that we have gone through, the brutal chattel enslavement that we have gone, like that type of enslavement and human trafficking is still taking place around the world. Right. And so whatever opportunities, quote unquote, opportunities that we do have here in the United States is at the expense of our brothers and sisters around the world. And this is why we can't participate in this system, the way that we do. We have to have some sort of exit plan, man, have some sort of strategy to revolutionize the system, man, to overturn the system. And so yeah, and you know, that was sort of just like the, you know, the conversation that we were having. And even, you know, with those people that, as we're out there and we're pointing out, you know, the contradictions of being a customer of Apple, but understanding the system and where people's level of consciousness is, but giving them sort of another a way to given them a way to sort of be able to be a part of the struggle that's taking place in Congo, and those who are supporting that struggle is, hey, you know, talk to, if you're a customer, talk to the management, man. Talk to the CEO. You know, write a letter of complaint, letting them know that you're aware of what's taking place in the Congo and you're not going to stand for it. You know, making some demands, or you're going to take your business elsewhere. You know, putting some pressure on them to change their policy. You know, but I don't know. That was just some thoughts. I mean, we want more, but at least, you know, if you're going to continue to spend your money, at least, you know, do something, attempt to do something about it.
Yeah. Says right here, Lebanon is planned to be part of Israel in the near future too. That'll only happen.
What?
That'll only happen.
Somebody. You reading a comment?
Yeah. That'll only happen. That'll only happen if Hezbollah is defeated, and Hezbollah hasn't been defeated. Again, we'll be getting into this. We're gonna take a quick break for Black Power. I'm waiting for this video to load up. It's loaded. We'll be right back. This doesn't have the proper break for Black Power intro. A lot of these videos I'm finding are like 3 gigabytes long, man. I don't know what it is.
Man, it's all good. You ain't gotta explain. You're so nice, man.
I know, right?
Yeah. Hey, you used to spoiling the people. I understand you like the people are spoiled. They used to a certain type of, you know, break. But it's all good, man. The people understand. You know what I'm saying? We all in this together. So, you know.
Yeah, no, thank you for highlighting that. Dude. I'm too.
Yeah, I don't think people that bougie. I hate the people that bougie. Like, bro, we ain't used to these type of breaks. What's going on? And I don't think we, you know, our folks is good.
All right, man. We're gonna go to this quick break. Enjoy again a comrade and someone who's been on the show, Layeth Marouf, speaking about banks in South Lebanon being completely destroyed for double standards, basically. So we'll be back.
This is Layeth Marouf from Free Palestine TV. I'm standing in front of the Good Loan Co-op Bank in Beirut. Yesterday, at least 10 branches of this co-op bank were targeted by the Israeli Air Force. We heard Western media and Western elite actually condone the attacks on the Good Loan Co-op Bank, which opens the question right now, why is this bank being targeted by the West? And it's clear for us that there's 2 answers for this. Number one is this co-op bank refuses to charge its depositors, its members, any interest on their loans, meaning usury. It refuses what Judaism, Christianity, and Islam forbid in terms of usury on the banks. And that is a big problem for Western financial systems that are trying to suck the blood out of humanity with their usury charges. This bank was also the only bank in Lebanon that guaranteed the deposits of its members after the collapse of the financial system in Lebanon 5 years ago, when the United States, its Gulf vessels, and the Israelis plotted the crash of the Lebanese economic system. and looted over $40 billion from the Lebanese people and the Syrian people who had their money deposited in the banks that are beholden by Washington, D.C. The other thing that our viewers need to ask themselves right now, if it is a legitimate target, a legitimate thing to target the good loan co-op bank, then that opens the door to say that any bank that is funding the Israeli war crimes and the genocide in Gaza and in Lebanon are also legitimate targets for military activities. This also makes it that September 11, Osama bin Laden's and Al-Qaeda's attacks on the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001 were also legitimate military action. This is the world that we live in. And our citizens in the West, our viewers here in the West, need to ask themselves, is this now the world that we need to live in? And if we say no, this is not the kind of world we want to live in, then it is your responsibility to move against the elite in the West and force them to abide by international law and protect civilian infrastructure, banks like this co-op bank, and our banks in the West, co-op banks like the Desjardins in Canada. If this is a target in the world we live in, then Citibank will become a target. If this good loan bank, co-op bank in Beirut is a target, then Barclays Bank in London is a legitimate target. Then Citibank in New York is a legitimate target. Then the Canadian National Bank is also a legitimate target. This is the reality we live in because of Zionism and imperialism. We need to change that reality so we can live safely and our civilian infrastructure is protected again under international law. Until we meet next time, I bid you all a free Palestine.
I want to show something for you guys. We're live, so I could do this, and Kalanji's not here, so I don't care. I'll get in trouble later.
See what I got myself into, y'all. Hey, y'all heard what y'all were here. Y'all heard it.
Into the world this graph based on the concept of fuck around and find out. Now that you have had some time to reflect on this graph and perhaps think about how it might apply to you and your story, I'm ready to hear from you. What is your story? How did you fuck around and what did you find out? I'm curious to know, what is your take on this?
Fuck around and find out. That's basically the message that is being given and is being administered from that video. I want to say shout out to Free Palestine TV. You guys can support them at freepalestine.video. Again, that's Laith Maruth from Free Palestine TV. You can support them at freepalestine.video.
Somebody said whites love wearing slang out. That's the fact. You ain't never lie. You ain't never lie about that one.
Right? Okay.
Well, I love it. I loved it when it was just like, like secret society, man.
Right.
Like code. Speaking another language. They didn't know what we was talking about.
The only thing they haven't tackled yet is our diaspora's ability to just look at each other and be able to have conversations. That's the only thing they haven't been able to come up with.
Oh man, don't get. I'm sure they studying though. That's what they do, man. Like they study our culture, and I'm talking about not just folks for apolitical reasons, for political reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the government, they got to. Who was that? It was on Gil Noble, one of his specials, Like It Is. Y'all may have not seen it, but he was it Othello, the FBI agent, who talked about Black Desk. Y'all can check that out. It's on YouTube. The FBI agent, I believe it was Othello. He was interviewing because he interviewed a couple of snakes, Black agents, but. He talked about something called the Black Desk, where which was a section in the FBI. So there's counterintelligence program, but there was something separate from that called Black Desk, where they would just study Black culture, man, from, you know, jazz, blues, you know, their history. They would know Black culture better than than Black folks, you know, and be able to sit in our circle. And some of these folks that we think are like white liberals and is down for the cause, and be like, oh man, like they really know our culture. Yeah, they know your culture because they've been studying it, so they can infiltrate your ass. But
yeah, that's
yeah,
why like we got someone in the comments that said it's why it's good for us to study them. And a good book that I always refer to is Sigmund Freud. Just in general, the understanding how fucking white people think is fucking curious. I'm very just to understand how they think of us, how they perceive the world. Is something that I advise individuals to do, because just as much as they're learning about us, we should be learning about them. Just as much as we should be realizing that, you know, this whole game plan that we've had, well, let's protest from the hours of 3 to 7, ain't working because they're building cop cities 24/7. We I think as a group of people, you know, we haven't really put together the fact that this system works 24/7 while we, bound by the same system, don't have that same amount of time. And even the time that we do have, we don't utilize it properly to create quantitative action for qualitative change. You know, and so it's a tricky situation in regards to because I know someone who straight up was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to school so that I could learn basically how you know, how white people think, how people think in general.
That was me. I was one of those people,
and it turned into him going down this path of wanting to like highlight cultural, like white cultural stuff. I'm like, whoa, like you were supposed to do you did a complete 180.
Oh, you did on some other.
He went the whole completely different opposite way. And I'm like, but you call yourself a leftist though, and you're propagating all these white ass Nordic history and shit like this.
Oh man,
it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense.
Yeah, I went back on some because I was already engaged in community organizing at the time I went back. I left college and went on my journey, you know, gaining knowledge of self, and studying, you know, Dr. John Henry Clark. That was one of my master teachers right there. We're reading, you know, Chancellor Williams, Naeem Akbar's, and even, you know, Elijah Muhammad. Like that was something that I studied as well really hard. That kind of like grounded me in my Blackness, and so just like all of this reading and studying, and then I got introduced to the Black Panther Party, and as far as community, being in the community and organizing for revolution. And so that's when I went from, okay, all of this book knowledge to, all right, now how do we change our situation? You know, the information just isn't enough. And so just like studying our revolutionary organizations and organizing in general, I hit the streets. And then from there, because I was engaged in politics, I felt like I wanted to understand how these politicians think. And so I went back to study political science, you know, just to understand the language and everything like that. And so that's what took me back to school. And then in there, you know, just you know, just kept on going. You know, academia just became sort of, I guess, like at some point I wanted to become a professor as I was going through my academic journey, and I was like, yo, I want to teach as well. So, but I didn't leave the streets, you know, just folk up the streets, but also in academia and at a predominantly Black institution. So, you know, having that opportunity to have some of these conversations and bring what's going on around the world from an African perspective, African lens, you know what I'm saying? Whereas though we already know for the most part they're getting it from a Eurocentric perspective, and that's why they come out and they want to, you know, vote Democrat or Republican, not knowing like, hey, both of them are the enemies, right? But I can go in there and have a conversation like, you know, why does it have to be one or two? You know, there's 3 and 4, maybe even 5. You know, there's other options, but that's what they, you know, they want you to, that's I think like that second option is just a distraction anyway. You know, to be honest, you know, it's just like this sort of in that we're not in a autocracy, you know, and man, you know, or you know, the domination of like one party. I mean, it'll be evident that okay, this is a dictatorship, but hey, let's give them another option. You have 2 options, and now you have this illusion of democracy. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think it really boils.
It's democratic fascism in 4K.
Yeah, yeah. Because it started off as sectionalism, you know, it was like one party, and it was like division within that one party.
Yeah,
and you know, but they all had the same interest, but it was sectionalism within the party, and then all right, they split to have a second party, but they all have the same interest when it comes to imperialism. Man.
Yeah, see, that's why I tell people, regardless, this whole lesser two evil shit, it's never made fucking sense, and it never will make sense, because again, you have one side that's open, adamant about what they're gonna do, how they're gonna do it, when they're gonna do it. You know, the other side is, you know, oh, I'm gonna do it, I just don't know when, but I do know when. I'm just not gonna tell you. You know, and when I do tell you, it's probably going to be months later, and it's going to be fabricated, you know, and it's probably not even going to be the truth. And so that's the second side. And then you got the third side that's like saying, oh, I'm not like those 2 individuals, you know, you know, those 2 individuals over there aren't like me, you know. So again, I the way I see it, for one, as an Afro-Indigenous individual, someone who is bound by their indigenous culture here and is bound by African culture abroad, I'm sorry. But as an indigenous person here and who has roots in indigenous California, what the fuck do I look like voting for another master, for another occupier? That's like, make it make sense for indigenous people here. It doesn't make sense. You are literally asking for them to vote for their next occupier rather than putting all of their chips in one basket, being the basket that is their self-determination, their motherfucking liberation, and saying, hey, I'm rolling with this. You could ride with me, you know, if you want to. I don't need you regardless, okay? Because my ancestors have been doing this shit since immemorable, with the fact that we uphold 80% of the biodiversity as indigenous people, our African brothers and sisters, our indigenous, like, we uphold the biodiversity, but we only make, as indigenous population of the globe, we only make less than 6 to 8% of the population. So that means mostly every other person that isn't indigenous is out here polluting the globe, and at the same time saying, did you vote blue? Did you vote red? Did you vote green? You know, Jill Stein has a real good plan. You know, Dr. Cornell S has a real good plan. PSL has a real good plan.
He coming at everybody.
You know,
go ahead, target. Go ahead.
I think we live in a society where people aren't really they're too afraid to really call out some bullshit. And I call out bullshit. And I think I'm sick and tired as an indigenous, not just an indigenous man, but just an indigenous entity. I'm sick and tired of people saying, hey, put your chips in my basket. And then you go and you take your basket and you go and you share it with all these fucking oligarchs and shit. You know, you go and you share it, you know, these endorsement deals.
It's that political education. Go ahead.
You know, I think I'm in a world where I'm consistently seeing on a mass level people being indoctrinated into believing that there is a way out through electoral politics. I'm sorry, if we're not voting to burn some shit down, then it ain't fucking productive to me.
Hey, that's the real talk right there, man. I unite with everything that you said, because at the end of the day, it goes back to, you know, what Malcolm talked about as far as just the difference between the two parties, you know, between conservative and the liberal and so forth. But it's the option of of, you know, you want to suffer peacefully.
Ooh, Natasha's here. Natasha's here.
Oh yeah. Oh man. The people about to get a treat now. It's about to be on and popping. But that's what it boils down to.
Natasha
You know,
said, no, I'm not.
no, she's not. Damn. All right. But yeah, but at the end of the day, I think you know, that's what happens when you vote, you know, Republican and Democrat. It's all about, you know, how you want to live under the colony. You know, how do you want to be colonized? This party may give you more favors than the other party. All right, but it's still colonization at the end of the day. At the end of the day,
You know, the way I'm perceiving it too is that even aspects or even askings and wantings of like what reparations, that comes through the parameters of liberation. That does not come through what I classify as a stimulus check. That's what it is. Because when we ask this system, hey, give us reparations under capitalism, it's going to go right back into the same system that whipped our ancestors. Now, you know, people can have an argument with me all they want, you know, but I've yet to have one person come to me or message me and say I'm wrong, or say that I'm speaking out of line, or I'm speaking out the side of my neck. You know,
I think really it's about the strategy too. You know, it's about the political consciousness. I agree with you. Like,
yeah.
But it has to be done when you're demanding reparations. Like, it has to be done with a strategy. The same way with voting. You know, like it has to be a tool, an organizing tool, and whatever the objective is, the end game has to be still like separating yourself from the empire, the colony. Like, is reparations going to get us to put us in a position where we can separate from the colony? And is that an objective? But if the objective is no, to, you know, these resources and continue part of this American system, then like all you doing is perpetuating imperialism. Are you sustaining the imperialist state? You know, and again, you know, you become a partner, you become complicit in what's taking place around the world. So, you know, how can anybody want to unite with us, you know, in our struggle, if it's to become partners of the empire? I'm not here to be a partner, not what the empire has done to my ancestors, you know, on the continent and within the United States colony. There's no way in the world I could partner with a people who, you know, enslaved and shed the blood of my ancestors. No way. And they continue. But on another note too, like with the voting, what you think about the scare tactic too that they're using to get people to vote, man? Have you seen those commercials?
I was just talking about it the other day
when they say your family and friends will know if you voted. You seen that?
They'll know if you voted. It'll all be public. It's been public. Like, again,
bruh, y'all want to know if I voted? You could just ask me.
Exactly. You know.
But what type of scare tactic is that?
I guess someone, I don't know if this is in reference to me, where people are saying I'm speaking out of line, but again, reparations to me is nothing more under a capitalist mode. So under what we have right now is a stimulus check. That's equivalent to me getting whipped 30 times and getting $5 for it, and then giving that $5 back to the same person who whipped me. I'm not doing that. So again, I'll speak to the individual, Jason Black or whoever that is, if that's referred to me. I don't have a problem doing that, but my opinion and my stance on reparations under a capitalist imperialist system, again, is nothing more than a big stimulus check that goes right back into the same system, the same monetary system that then on a global level, you know, exploits individuals.
Well, we do have to be honest with that, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not, I don't think you said anything wrong. Like, if somebody, unless you're trying to integrate into the system, you know, like, then you will see differently. Like, if your objective is to integrate into the system, disagree with that, you know. Otherwise, you would have to unite with that. and that shouldn't be an objective to stimulate the colonial capitalist economy, you know, because at the end of the day, it will be at the expense of our brothers and sisters, you know, here in the States and around the world.
Exactly.
You know,
And we don't even classify reparations on an international level. We have individuals here that act like they're the cherry on top, you know, in regards to reparations. If I'm not mistaken, only 5% of Africans were brung here to the US. We have about 46% or 45% that were brung to Brazil. We have obviously what happened in the West Indies, you know, Haiti, you know, Cuba, all of these, you know, Caribbean countries that were, you know, that had our ancestors on, and they don't get put into the mix of reparations, and it pisses me the fuck off, because again, when we start individually looking at certain situations and not collectively looking at the fact that imperialism has fucked us all over as a diaspora, like we're doing exactly what they want us to. We're fighting with each other, saying that one country is, you know, again, I don't want to hear another argument on which country makes the best fucking jollof rice. I don't care. These are
yeah.
You know,
don't get Isaac upset, man. Man, nah, but hey, I don't know how we got on this topic, man. But I am on the reparations task force, though. I will you know, admit, man, I'm part of that struggle. You know what I'm saying? Don't call me no hypocrite, man. It ain't no, you know what I mean? You know, I'm still for the fight, but y'all already know what I'm doing, though. So, but anyway, going back to I still want to bring this back, man. This scare tactic, because I feel like there's something that I feel like that should be not illegal in a sense, because I don't care about the laws and all of that, but
homeboy,
like they shouldn't be able to use that tactic to get folks to vote, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Like, if I choose not to vote, that's a choice that I have. Otherwise, like, then make it mandatory that everybody has to vote, rather than just like try to just scare somebody into voting. Oh, you know, if you don't vote, your family and friends can check to see if you voted or not. So make sure you go out there and vote. Oh, let me get out of here. I don't want grandma to come down on me because I didn't vote.
And they're also painting this picture like Kamala is good and Trump is bad, this good versus evil thing. And it's like they both work to serve the same duopoly. You know, they work. It's just they're both going at it, you know, and behind closed doors, I guarantee you she probably shakes his hand. I guarantee you she's probably like, oh, Donnie. You know, I'm pretty sure she's like that.
Well, you know, you always see them afterwards, you know, Obama and Bush, and they all become best friends, you know, after that's their fraternity, sorority, whatever you want to, you know, well, this patriarchy, so let's say fraternity, man. She about to enter the fraternity if she wins, man, you know.
Yeah, but and it's crazy too, because, you know, it's like people completely forget the fact that she was in California. She was the diaspora's biggest enemy. She was the head cop. She was a fucking prosecutor. You know, this individual put an African woman behind bars, arrested her, you know, because she didn't want to send her kid to school because the school couldn't treat her daughter's sickle cell anemia properly. So she figured, okay, I'm gonna keep her home so that I can save her fucking life. You know, like that's the type of mentality that is on that opposing side that they classify as like good, you know, or even these commercials that I'm seeing. I don't know if you're seeing these commercials. I know that there's a union here in Vegas, and it's a cooking union, so it's a chef's union and stuff like that. And they're talking about she's gonna help us against these big businesses that are coming after us and coming after our unions and coming after all of this. And I'm like, oh, really? But they say the quiet part out loud. They never talk about the lower class, because lower class to them is nothing. They're not.
The lower class and poor. Y'all, we don't even exist.
middle class is what they try and bring up. But yeah, we actually have someone that's coming on right now. Natasha has set it up. This individual is from the NEPPC /Hala, and I want to bring them on to do a press release.
We got a guest.
Yeah, we got a guest. So we have a press release.
You see how they treat me, right? I'm glad the people. Hey, I'm glad everybody.
You're not even looking at the chat, dude. What's going on?
Hey, I'll find out at the same time y'all find out. So hey, I ain't mad though. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna bring them up. This is.
I know I've been going for a little while, but
how's it going, my brother? How you doing?
Peace and blessings. Peace, Black Power, comrade.
What's good, man? How you doing?
Hey, I've been in the with this brother, man. So hey, what's up? That's what's up, man.
Nah.
So this ain't too big of a surprise, man. I'm like they bringing somebody on. I'm like, who the hell? I ain't even get the heads up, man. But you family though. You the comrade.
Exactly. We cousins.
For sure.
But I appreciate y'all giving us this time to do this press release. So I'm not gonna hold y'all too long. So we Hala How Lives Will Go Together and the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition have gotten a word from women in the trans community that's being held in the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, are going through brutality and assaults from guards. And so they wanted us to put out this information. And so we are sending out this press release to the community, to comrades, for folks to follow up. I'm going to share what I have now. Women abused, assaulted in Bedford Hills Correctional Facility.
Sounds like he's breaking up.
Yeah, we lost him, right?
Yeah, we lost
him. I mean, if anything, we could get the statement and read it, if he's unable.
Can you hear us now? Because we lost you, my guy. Can you hear us now?
Y'all still got me?
Yeah. Can we hear? Can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah. Apologies.
Okay,
I'm on the train,
no
so
problem.
I'm trying to get this as best as possible.
No problem, man. There's probably like I would have to say like a 5-second delay in a buff as well, but hopefully we can work.
You on a Long Island Railroad? The LIR right now. Yeah. It'll be easier, or if once he get off the train, maybe.
Yeah. Do you want to call us when you get off the train? Maybe since it's moving, it might you might have a little bit better service when you're off. Yeah, I don't think he can hear us at all.
Yeah. I think like either that or send us the statement and we can read it. Those could be the options because I don't know how long he's going to be on the train.
Apologies.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah. My apologies. Am I
yeah,
clear?
No, you're no good. No worries, man. No worries, man. You're good.
Go for it now. I think we got you good.
Yep. Black women abused, assaulted in Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. On August 3rd, 2024, a woman was brutally assaulted in Bedford Hills Correctional Facility by security personnel. This incident caused an uprising among those incarcerated. During the uprising, many incarcerated women were assaulted by correctional officers. Following the incident, Bedford Hills Correctional facility has put 8 women into solitary confinement. The women in Bedford Hills are asking that the public be made aware of this violence that has transpired, making them all vulnerable to unprovoked attacks by rogue staff at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. In addition, we Holla, How Our Lives Link All Together, and the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition are asking family, friends, media, community, and supporters to call the Office of Special Investigations at 1-877-246-1453 and ask for a transparent investigation on the violence that is happening to the women and the trans community at the Bedford Hills Correctional. People around this issue. This news is other people. At one point, do we believe them?
Okay.
We therefore call you to take action on this matter. Did y'all lose me again?
We got to take action on this matter.
Yep. We therefore call to take action on this matter. 1, by reposting this press release and spreading the information about what's occurring at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility everywhere you can. And 2, support Holla and the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition in furthering this investigating story. Efforts are being made to bring this situation and attention to Prison Radio, Columbia University, Apartheid Diverse, Democracy Now!, the People's Senate, Kerfest National Team, the People's Church, Blacks United for Solidarity, Black Men Build, Amsterdam News, The Worker, Our Times Press, What's Happening, 99.5 FM, and many more other outlets and organizations. You can find this press release
We was just about to find out where we can find it. Ain't that something? You're on mute, Conrad.
That's it. They got him right before.
Right. He was about to tell us where to go. Let's get that info so we can let people know where to go. And I'm sure tomorrow morning. I think Natasha is going to be on tomorrow morning, and I know she can she could probably give us this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But let's get that info.
See if Natasha. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna get that information for everyone.
All right. That's weird. I feel like the boxes are smaller. Do the boxes look smaller to you?
Man, I'm not paying attention, and the people probably can tell us better. Bruh, I'm just talking. I don't know what's going on. I'm just noticing what color the background is right now. But peace to everybody, though. Appreciate y'all jumping in, joining in. We didn't even tell people to like and share, but it's never too late. Make sure you like and share. And if it's your first time here at Black Power Media Reloaded, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And spread the word. Let people know that we are here. We're having these conversations, going up against the colonial media. And we also these conversations on our own platforms as well, right? Our individual platforms, our collectives. I'm with We Charge Colonialism, so you can definitely subscribe to We Charge Colonialism, and you want to let the people know where to find you, my brother.
Yeah, you guys can find me at the Indigenous Nightmare Network. I just call it 10 Media now because it's like so much to say. But yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube at the Indigenous Nightmare Media Network, and then I got my Patreon right there. So if anybody wants to throw something that way, help some grassroots media. Also, Black Power Media, we got our Patreon rolling right here. It helps with everything. Let me see right here. Okay, so there is a link that was sent, and it is a press release. So we will display that on screen. Let's see if we could bring him up, because I do want to have a conversation regarding that. Let me see if he's still if he's still here. You still here, comrade?
Yep. Peace, brother.
All right. So hopefully, we don't know how long StreamYard is gonna keep you on here. So,
I'm sorry about that.
no, don't
all
apologize, man. This is the work.
important
that we
information.
do. Exactly. If you could start with where people can send in their requests for this, because this is an important matter. We have a community of trans women that are deeply subjected to the atrocities that come with imperialism, that come with the gentrification of our communities. And so I want to say thank you not only to your guys' organization, both duly to Hala and to the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition. Shout out to Natasha as well. You guys are doing great work. A lot of people don't like to make that connection. They don't like to connect the fact that trans women are women, especially in Black communities. And we live in a patriarchal society where they are demonized to the fullest degree. And so if you could, again, thank you. But if you could start from where you left off at, hopefully we don't have any interruption. I don't think we will, because your camera quality is a little bit better. Everything's better. So
that's good. That's good. So but no, definitely to that point, as you're saying, the violence is so deep and intersectional, and from a lot of the stories that we are getting on how our trans community is being attacked by guards in there, through as you see machismo, right? People trying to belittle women and their identity and who they choose to be. So I think it's very important. But as I was saying, the women in Bedford Hills are asking that the public be made aware of the violence that has transpired, making them all vulnerable to unprovoked attacks by rogue staff at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. HALA and the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition are asking family, friends, and media, community, and supporters to call the Office of Special Investigations at 1-877-246-1453 to ask for a transparent investigation on this violence that is happening. The call to action is to repost this press release by spreading the information that is happening everywhere, and to support HALA and the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition by furthering investigating and covering this story, right? Just 2 weeks ago, we had a candlelight vigil in front of Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. All right, so shout out to those who supported releasing ancient people in prison, Women Building Up, New Hour, the People's Senate, right? We plan on having more demonstrations and actions in front of the prison, and we hope more folks can, bring to light what is happening, not only here at Bedford Hills, but around the nation, around the issues in prison, and our families being alienated and isolated and being abused.
yeah, no, thank you, Fed. And I do have this displayed on screen, so I appreciate you putting that into the chat, so at least people, because we know there's some visual learners out there.
And folks
yeah,
can find this information on HALA's website, healwithhala.com, HEAL, WITHHOLLA.com, and you can find that report on our website.
Okay. And is if you can, just from you working in regards to around this, what are some case stories maybe that you can display or disclose with us in regards to how serious this issue is? Because we could ask for the call to action, but I feel like it's more important for us to start highlighting case loads of this, where it's
Most definitely
multitudes of women that are being subjugated to like the most atrocious crimes and with behind bars. So if you could, just any case studies that you might have that you could disclose without revealing the individual's identity.
Yes, most definitely. So as stated, on April 3rd, one of the women in Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, sorry. I'm sorry. I can't do nothing about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, comrades. People trying to tell me to be quiet on the train station.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah. So some of the stories that we heard was that on April 3rd, one of the sisters who was assaulted was put in the shoe. They have a medical health issue, right? So they wasn't even supposed to be put into the shoe because of this medical health issue, this mental health issue, and so that was a crime. Wow. Multiple of the women after this incident happened, they put at least 8 to 10 women in the shoe for days on end. As well as, we're connected with the trans community as well there. And they also are being assaulted by guards. Guards are breaking folks' arms and neglecting folks. And so we we definitely urge people to, also get to know the sisters in the trans community that's happening and what's happening there. Because as I say, usually when our families go to prison, we forget about them. We alienate ourselves from our community and don't think that, they're still human and that they still have needs and still have rights. So it's very crazy what's happening there. And the sisters called on to this word out.
Yeah, no, I deeply appreciate that, and I have some stories of my own in regards to what I've seen happen in communities that in regards to trans women. I'm gonna ignore the chat for now, but I want to first and foremost, because for one, I don't want to get you into any type of trouble on your end with some people and whatnot on the train that might not like what we're talking about. So I want to say thank you, for coming on, but it wouldn't sit well with me if some stuff happened, in regards to you, to us talking about this, especially in a public forum.
I mean, he's in the public on LIR is public transportation, right?
Yeah, Amtrak. I feel like all of that, right? Yeah.
At least yeah. I mean, he's in a public space, man. You know what I'm saying? He's not yelling fire or anything like that. Exercising, is right to free speech right now. Ain't that But it's it's all hey, they can't hit. But this is like when how I was feeling Saturday. Some people was getting it. We were talking about Congo, and some people looking like we inconveniencing them. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like people lives are being lost. And I was just raising that, man. When you look at Sudan and 25 million people, they say, is facing humanitarian crisis or genocide, in this sense, man, or what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Congo. Like, forget your convenience, man. To use a more profane word, but it's like, people lives right now. You should be over with us. You know what I'm saying? You should be outraged like we're outraged right now. And that's what would be frustrating me. And this is where we are, but this is how this system have us, man. Like, everybody on that train probably worried about getting to their job and making their money, colonizing and trying to climb the social ladder. They could care less about how, this system is impacting not only us here, but around the world, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, in New York City, people, man, the cost of living is crazy in New York City, man. People should be outraged and talking about
$3,000 for a closet.
Man, should be talking about how we're gonna take the heads of these, like, like these homeowners, man. Like, these people who are making living in New York City and anywhere, around America, but in New York City particular, like, they're making it so, difficult and hard, man, and living is harsh for people, and you worried about somebody not paying $2.90, man, they probably done gave their whole check just so they can have a roof over their head, man. And excuse me, hey, I'm frustrated though, man. I'm frustrated, man.
Am I rubbing off on you? My
I'm just saying, you want to approach me and lie me up $2.90 when they on Wall Street robbing, the people blind, with some Ponzi schemes, and it's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And then we hear Kamala Harris, who gonna lie, talk about she gonna cut the price, like she gonna lower the price of like food and lower the price of our rent, like everything gonna get low. Oh, that's what you gonna do for us, huh, Miss Harris? So everything gonna get lower for the people under Kamala. What happened the last 4 years? Shit, that should have been a plan. The last 4 years is the lower, these exorbitant prices, that we paying for food. And I'm sorry, I digress.
You're speaking facts.
Speak it, brother. Speak it.
I wanted to ask our guest if they'd like to shout out the organization that they're a part of, and kind of the other work that you guys do in this field, if you'd like to, just for the viewers, so that they get a chance to know what Hala is and how it deeply impacts the community in positive ways.
Nah, most definitely appreciate that. Hala, we like to say that we are babies of the Black Liberation Movement, right? We are babies of the Long Attica Revolt. Hala started inside prison in 2007, right? By 7 Black men who, were, transformed and were politicized by the Black Liberation Movement that was pushed inside of prison by COINTELPRO. And so from, brothers and sisters who were doing a lot of transformation work on the inside in prison, creating the programs, because, prison, the administration didn't create those programs. The administration didn't care for our transformation, for us to be assets to our community, right? It was actually better for us to be liabilities to our community. So when we come home, we can't change the circumstances in our community and organize our community. So in 2007, Hala was transformed. Those 7 Black men were transformed and changed, as I said, from the Black Liberation Movement, from our legacy. And when they came home, they started to engage in education, right? Having space for young people to, learn about their history, learn about their identity, and engage in movement, and connecting young people to the elders within the movement. Shout out to our ancestor Sekou Odinga, because I wouldn't be connected to doing work supporting political prisoners if it wasn't for Sekou Odinga, right? So that's a lot of the way that we come into this work, not only because we were politicized while we was in prison, but because, as I said, from the work that our elders was doing before, our ancestors were doing before. So we continue that work through multiple different programs. One of them is a 24-month process. We have a rites of passage for our young people for 2 years, where we, guide them into being social justice advocates, and actually making campaign work and learning about how to get involved in their community in a positive way.
That's dope. And how long have you officially been a part of Hala yourself, like in this capacity? Like,
nah, definitely. So I'm 30 now. Shout out to that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put your age out there, man. My bad.
Nah, it's all good. I've been a part of Hala since I was 20. Right. I was doing 7 years probation. Right. I caught a robbery and assault. Spent some time on Rikers. And when I came home, I got in touch with the Center for New Leadership on Urban Solutions, which was an organization that was created by a former political prisoner, Black Panther member, Eddie Ellis. And so from me getting in contact with that organization, that's how I got in contact with Holla, the brothers in Holla. And that's when, you know, I went through the 24-month process as well, got re-Africanized, and wanted to continue to work for our people.
That's dope. That's dope, man. And since you've been a part of this organization, have you yourself have you been able to bring certain individuals in and it's kind of in the same manner that you were brought in?
24-month process?
Yeah, like have you gotten to that stage where like you kind of recruited some people into this movement and you know kind of you know paid dues in a sense where it's like, okay, I was brought in, let me bring some people in, you know, that I think are on the right path.
Nah, exactly. I think one thing that is very important, just like how we understand movement is about, you know, building family. Right, like Brother and Kimba, I knew Brother Kimba for at least three years now, but like we close, we connected. So within Holla, we see each other as family, just like how the Shakur family, they wasn't, you know, not all of them was blood family, but they acted like they treat each other like family. They had to transform each other, and so that's definitely how we organize within Holla. And so we bring our children, right, our wives, our sons, our nieces and nephews into the fold, right, bringing them into the programs. So definitely our last cohort just graduated this year, and it was about, I think, 10 young people, specifically from our neighborhoods. And those young people we knew already from, you know, from years of connecting and building with them, right? So it's really just like how we have the prison, the pipeline, right? Where we got our young people being set up to go to prison. We got our young people set up to be assets in our community, where you're going to be in Holla, and then you're going to be supporting the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition and any other movement work that we have for them, and just, you know, put them in the right direction.
That's dope, and I like how you said that. Like this system has the school to, you know, prison pipeline, you know, and you guys are saying, well, you know, fuck that. We don't. We have our own you know, ways of getting, and that's where, again, I don't want to intertwine your organization with my thoughts on voting, but you know, I just see there's a lot of more organizations that are doing more than, and a lot of other people that say that they're doing a whole lot, and they're not doing a whole lot. I want to thank you for coming on, my guy. I don't know if Ikemba has some questions he'd like to ask or some things you'd like to shout out. I know he's sitting back enjoying the show. Ikemba can't say though that Ikemba can't say that the next segment he don't know what it is, because I gave him a whole run sheet. So
he good. I ain't gonna say when he gave it to me, but nah, just appreciate, you know, my brother, all the work that he is doing, and always appreciate organizing whatever it is we organizing together, man. Just being in the trenches with you, man. We've done some great things, and you know, looking forward to doing some more great work. But this is what's happening, man. Like we're around the country, really around the world, you know, just organizing, building a future for ourselves and our family, and just really connecting those dots and seeing that, you know, there is life outside of this system. We just have to work hard for that, you know, and want that. So, you know, it's good to just like always hear those stories and connecting with other people that are doing the work, for sure. But appreciate you though, Ron.
Nah, exactly as you said, you know. Yeah, you know, we are still strong. You know, we gotta keep the movement strong, pouring into the next generation. So, you know, as I always tell folks, as Asada said, you know, the movement had done more for me than I could do for it, and so I'm just highly grateful.
Yeah, you know, for sure, man. Because things could be worse, man. Like I could be wearing a suit, you know, traveling to Wall Street right now, about to, you know. that could be my love, boy.
Oh no, I would not.
With a nice little, fade, clean, all this cleaned off on my way to Wall Street right now, man.
Bet you make Steve Harvey real proud.
Oh my Lord, boy. I could be living that nightmare right now, man, on that hamster wheel. But I'm glad that I connected with the folks that I connected with and continuing to connect with, man. I just love to see, man, it's just like a new, I'm older than you guys, man, but just like seeing that next generation, that wave, man, and the energy that they have and the organizing, like it's just like I have so much, hope for our future seeing that. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm that guy, because I'm here. I wasn't a political prisoner, right? So I'm out here, and I'm connected on the streets with that next generation. So I'm just trying to make sure that I play my part and being able to support them. Also be in the trenches with them. Don't get me wrong, but like I know that that's the next generation of leaders. They're leading now. So just supporting that, man. That's where I'm at with it, and still doing my thing. On with whatever space that I'm in, I'm still creating and innovating. Holding on to that. But I'm not getting in the way of that next wave that's coming, though. Maybe I don't do that for sure. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, what we got going on, man? Yo, you banning people left and right. I don't know what's going on. Hey,
it's just certain things I feel as a cadre we shouldn't tolerate.
Damn, like I thought I ain't had no. If people can have for me, I'm like, I don't care about people's difference of opinions, man. As long as you're not trolling. When you start trolling, like that's different, man. You might say some wild stuff.
I start seeing things like FBA. We wasn't.
I thought slaves. FBA boy. He was borderline trolling. He was borderline, but
nah, he wasn't borderline. That man was serious when he said that with his whole chest. He typed it with his whole chest.
What did he say?
Slaves. That never happened. Someone literally tried to say, and it's a word. I'm hip to stuff like this. Tether. When I hear stuff like that, that's FBA.
Well, no, I'm talking about today though.
Huh?
I don't think the person that was in the chat, he didn't say anything. I don't
know what they said, but if I remove
them, he on one right now. Yeah. Oh, matter, boy. Yeah, your punctuation ain't right. You better make sure you dotting your I's, crossing your T's, man. Or you out of here. That's what we on.
Hey, comrade, we have you on for these last little minutes. Is there anything you want to plug in, whether it's for yourself or the organization, any events you guys got coming up, just anything special that you might want to shout out before we drop you down?
Man, it's so much. One,
he's like, how much time I got?
Yeah.
Hey, the People Senate doing something today, right? You tapped into that
with the electoral debate?
Yeah.
I am going to be supporting. So yes, the People Senate have the electoral debate today. Has the electoral debate. I can see if I could drop this in the chat.
Yeah, and Sister Sophia, yeah, there you go.
Next someone in this car.
Yeah, if we can get a link too, we'll put that in the chat. But if for everybody's tapping in live or see this at some point today, check out the People Senate. I think if you follow Spirit of Man on IG, if I'm not mistaken, you probably can find the information there.
Yep. If you go to Spirit of Mandela website, you'll be able to find the Zoom, so you could register for the electoral debate. Yep. So we have the electoral debate. Let me see. I think I got the registry right here. So let me share that.
No doubt, no doubt.
At the registry. So I'm gonna drop that in the chat.
Yeah, and while we plugging, man, I'm just so folks know too, they're still able to write letters for the Uhuru 3. The sentencing date got pushed to December 16th, I believe. Get the exact date, but it got pushed to December. It was November, I think 25th or something like that, but it got pushed to December. So folks, want to write a letter, you haven't written a letter yet, you still have the opportunity to write a character letter for the Uhuru 3. Go to handsoffuhuru.org. So it's important to, continue to support the Uhuru 3, who could be facing some time behind bars, depending on how the state feel.
It's like anywhere from 5 years to time served if they get probation, is what I heard.
Yeah. So they, it's a chance that they don't see any time, but there's a chance that, you know what I'm saying? Like
we also have to like take into consideration, and it's serious too, is that in the case of Omali Ishitella, 5 years that's still a dampering amount of time on someone of his age. And we're seeing in real time what's going on right now behind bars to the likes of our political prisoners, whether that be Imam Jamil Al-Amin, whether that be Mumia Abu Jamal, whether that be Leonard Peltier, who last night I was a part of a legal hearing. I unfortunately, there's certain things I can't disclose, but what I can say is that it's a fucked up situation, to say the least. Our political prisoners, whether they're indigenous to these lands or they're indigenous to Africa, are subjugated to the worst atrocities known to man. But the fact that a Jeffrey Epstein could, off himself and be acquitted of all charges, and all the people who were part of that island don't get subjugated to the same crimes, or even then, so the fact that JP Morgan could create fraud and embezzle drug money and not be held to death the same way that a woman was held to death in Vietnam for stealing money from the people, over $12 billion. So we live in a weird,
man.
What's what did that someone said this is all this calamity in the world. It's like, yeah, because we don't address it.
Man, it's like different sets of rules, man. One set of rules for the colonizer and another set of rules for the colonized. Even going back to the video that or the Black Power break we had, and we're talking about colonizer, these killers, the way they engage in warfare and who they target or what they target, they describe it differently, right? They have different definitions for those actions than if we were to do that. If we were to blow up a bank, or something like that, like that would be an act of terrorism, and that's how they would describe it, right? But these are military targets when it comes to the colonizer. Israel can attack banks, they can attack hospitals, they can attack schools, and the women and children, and all civilians will be looked at as just collateral damage in those situations. We used to do something, remember, like 9/11, like they still talk about 9/11 to this day, like that they every year there's like an annual commemoration for 9/11, man.
But they'll never say though that the person who owned the trade centers that was supposed to be there that day is a Zionist and also cashed in on $44 billion in insurance money because of what happened. So when asked the question why he wasn't at the same place that he was almost every single day, he said, "Oh, because I had a doctor's appointment with my orthodontist." And so again, I don't want to connect dots where dots don't need to be connected, but that time period was a propagated time period to justify what they're doing in West Asia right now. which is a complete extermination of a group of people that have nothing to do with they shouldn't be bound by this, but colonialism subjects any and everybody to whatever they need it to be. And so yeah, we're gonna go to a Black Power break. I want to say first, before we leave, I want to say thank you to our comrade that came on. Very important topic for us to discuss again, regarding trans women being subjugated to horrific crimes behind bars, being subjugated, to say the least, in a society that demonizes them, even outside of behind bars. So I just want to thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Also, I think is it just women, or you say like all women?
I would assume it's all women too, because I have multiple.
Yeah.
I got multiple.
Make sure we have.
He's like, make sure we shout out our
yeah, like you gotta holler if that's the case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I just thought I heard him say it.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I think we lost him again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but appreciate the time that he was able to give us. And also to, he did a little that was a little solo protest, little protest that he gave, or a single, how would you describe it? But he did his own little rally on LIR just now. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna hear this. This is what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Just disrupted their whole trip. So, shout out to him for doing that. They tried to stop him. He said, "No, I can't do that. This is, y'all need to hear this right now." So exactly. Yeah, exactly. Appreciate that.
All right, we'll be back, you guys. We're gonna take a quick break for Black Power. We'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Black Power, because we think that is the fundamental issue of these times that we live in, but in fact it's been the fundamental issue for African people for a very long time now. First of all, what I would like to do is just briefly say some things about the African People's Socialist Party, which is the organization that I chair. We are a revolutionary organization. And by that, I want to say that we are convinced that this country, this system, do not have the ability to do justice by African people. That if we are to ever know justice, freedom, and democracy, we are going to have a revolution. It's that simple. And I know that that's a difficult issue for a lot of folk. And the fact that it is obviously a difficult issue for a lot of folk is reflected in the number of people who are in this room right now. But it is nevertheless the truth. And it's important to talk about that, because we can continue to have discussions that make us feel good, but won't take us anywhere. We can continue to have discussions where people come before us and make rhymes like up with hope and down with dope, and perhaps we'll feel better, but they don't take us any place. And what we have to do is come up with some kind of analysis of the reality that we are confronted with as a people, and then be able to use that analysis to change our circumstances so that they are not the kind of circumstances we find ourselves confronted with today, but what we want for ourselves and for our children in the future. So we are a revolutionary organization. We believe that if one wants to know what it will take for us to become free, all we have to do is look at history and see what it took for us to become enslaved. And if we find any place in our history that we voted ourselves into slavery, then I say, let's go and get together and vote ourselves the hell out of slavery. And if we can find any place in history where we sang our way into it, then let's sing our way out of it. But the reality, that is not the case, sisters and brothers. The reality is that we are going to have to cut, shoot, and bomb our way out of the circumstances that we find ourselves confronted with. And I know that's not something that everybody wants to hear, and it's not something that a lot of folk want to hear. But it's the truth nevertheless. This is not a suggestion at this meeting that once you're on your way out, we're going to be handing out AK-47s for people to go out and do your thing. Reality is I'd be extremely afraid to pass out AK-47s in the community because I'd be afraid that I'd probably become one of the first victims of the AK-47. In other words, there's a lot of work that we have to do in the interim. But having said that there's a lot of work we have to do, we have to also remember that our objective is total, absolute liberation for our people. And you can't have it any other way. There's no way that you can talk about sharing the power over your lives with somebody else and then feeling like you got a right to complain about what somebody does to you. Either you want the power or you don't. And some people are afraid of the power, and some people are not afraid of the power. In fact, actually understand and believe that we need the power, but just don't believe we're going to ever be able to get the power. And so what they will do is find themselves compromising forever with a system that has never been able to bring anything but genocide and oppression to African people, as opposed to struggling to find some way to end our relationship with this North American hell that we've been confronted with for something like 500 years today. So we're a revolutionary organization. We're a revolutionary organization that was founded in 1972 at the back of the attack on and defeat of the Black Revolution of the 60s. The Black Revolution of the 60s was one of the most consequential things that has ever occurred in this country, and it's something that we have to struggle to understand. All of us need to struggle to understand. And we need to understand it because subsequent to the defeat of the Black Revolution of the 60s, there's been a lot of historical revisionism that's been occurring in this country. And what we find is today people tell us that the 60s was not about revolution, but it was about the flower children in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco making love and not war. They tell us it was about hippies. Or if they want to, if they find themselves talking about African people in this country, what they suggest is that perhaps it has something to do with a generational thing. That a few young people were caught up by these mysterious times and got involved, and they even sometimes suggested maybe somebody put something in the water and all of us went a little crazy. But the reality is that the 60s was a period that was characterized by the Chinese as an era within which there was great disorder under the heavens. And the reality is that revolution was the main trend in the entire world in the 60s, not just in Philadelphia. But everywhere in the world, oppressed people had risen up and were fighting for their freedom. And they were fighting all over Latin America. In fact, the 60s were opened with the great revolution in Cuba in 1959 that overthrew a U.S. puppet government under Batista, where the U.S. held Cuba as a whorehouse for white people and a gambling den for wealthy white people and gangsters and what have you. It was Cuba that opened up the 60s. It was, we saw the 60s.
All right, we are back for the last bit of this live stream. Actually, what the thumbnail is entitled to. So for those that aren't aware,
I was going to get to that too.
yeah, it's like when we gonna get to this. The way that I have this set up is we're going to go through 3 particular articles, and then we're going to have a discussion on how all of these articles essentially highlight the same thing without saying that it's highlighting the same thing. So it's like in stages. So the first one that I'm going to be showing is an article from The Guardian in regards to Gaza. To give you guys a rough, kind of like a rough draft of the situation, we have in Jabalia whole death queues. If you're not familiar with the term death queue, it is a group of individuals that are then taken to a said location and are then assassinated. They're then shot on site. This is oddly reminiscent to what SS soldiers used to do in Nazi Germany to Jewish people. This is going on right now in North Jabalia, and now they're wanting to take it an even step further by advocating, or at least individuals here in the occupied territories of Turtle Island, because we have to understand that this is an occupation too. If you're in what's so-called America, we have Israeli American or Zionist businessman pitching $200 million plan to deploy mercenaries to Gaza. Now, within this article, it states that the article uncovers a dangerous plot to spearheaded by Israeli American Zionist businessman Moti Kahana, who proposes using private mercenaries, including those linked to Blackwater, to establish gated communities in Gaza, i.e., concentration camps. I want to go back to Blackwater. Blackwater is a subsidiary company of his company, which is, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Global Distribution, the Global Distribution Company, if I'm not mistaken. And he calls himself the Global Delivery Company and calls it the Uber of war zones. So basically, he helps mercenaries, he helps the colonizing forces get to point A to point B via clicking an app, I would assume, or just being contractually obligated to be there and work in reciprocity with these colonial government systems that are implementing atrocities onto Palestinians. This article further goes even further and states that they would that these would function as militarized zones where Palestinians would be subjugated to biometric screening under the guise of receiving humanitarian aid. Concentration camp, again, just gotta make that very, very clear. This mirrors historical colonial concentration tactics where vulnerable populations are confined under strict surveillance and force. The plan reflects a broader genocide agenda using humanitarian aid as a pretext to control for control and domination of Gaza's population. And so this is the individual who's advocating for $200 million to be used, his own money, to deploy mercenaries into Gaza to create concentration camps in northern Gaza. Now, why is the thumbnail titled "Israel is selling land in Gaza"? Well, it's because they are. There's a real estate company and a real estate mogul, a Zionist, that is working in reciprocity in northern Gaza, the same place that this individual right now is asking for mercenaries to be deployed. And we'll get to why private institutions are being deployed into Israel in a minute, because it is an important part of this piece in regards to accountability when that comes into play. This individual is working in reciprocity, I would have to assume, with real estate companies that are advocating via mock-up drafts of literally putting mock drafts, which you see in the thumbnail, of whole beachfront properties sitting directly on top of the rubble in Gaza. We all know that they have no means of stopping this, and they have no means of we're far past the ceasefire. We're far past any de-escalation. Again, this is imperialism, so imperialism wants nothing more than mass escalation. And in regards to what's going on in West Asia, they want to expand. We've heard from the mouth of Kamala Harris's VP candidate that it's in the best interest of Israel to expand, meaning it's in the best interest for the U.S. to continue its imperial motives in West Asia. So we have to we have to really redefine what they say. When they mean one thing, they really mean the complete opposite. It has nothing to do with the interest of Israel. It has everything to do with the interest of imperialism and suiting the needs of American and European aesthetics in West Asia, to keep subjecting Muslims, to keep subjecting Arab people, Christians, real Jewish people to this type of behavior in West Asia. And if people are probably out there thinking, oh, well, this is, Trump's people aren't advocating for this type of rhetoric. Well, they are. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is advocating for refugees to be taken to other countries so that they can clear out all the rubble, and that they can sell what is known as very valuable waterfront property, but is also very rich in oil as well. Another thing people probably aren't aware of is in regards to what's going on in Gaza is that they're trying to create their own version, i.e. the US, their own version of the Suez Canal. And so that would go directly through what would be considered Gaza right now. And so there's a lot of pillars at that are being put up in regards to why, from an economic, from a imperial level, why what's going on in Gaza is strategic, and how they've laid out and basically said the quiet power out loud consistently, both sides, the red, the blue, in regards to how they feel about Gaza. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this video, and this is a video of
in Syria when there's refugees. Turkey took them, Europe took them, Jordan took them. For whatever reason, here in Gaza, there's refugees from the fighting, from an offensive attack that was staged from Gaza. Israel's going in to do a long-term deterrence mission. And it's unfortunate that nobody's taking the refugees.
But also there are real fears on the part of Arab, I'm sure you talked to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
Maybe, but I'm not sure there's much left of Gaza at this point. So, if you think about even the construct, like, Gaza was not really a historical precedent, right? It was the result of a war. Right, you had tribes that were in different places, but then Gaza became a thing. Egypt, used to run it, and then, over time, you had different governments that came in different ways. So you have another war. Usually when wars happen, borders are changed historically over time. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there, so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt? Right, I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. And Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterwards.
You saw Tom Friedman's column on Tuesday about where he put forward a plan to get out of this. Biden should recognize the Palestinian Authority unilaterally as a state, and MBS should go to Jerusalem like Egyptian President Anwar Sadat did in 1977, and he should say, I'll normalize with Israel, I'll recognize West Jerusalem as your capital, and I'll even pay to rebuild Gaza if you recognize a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. What do you think? Good idea?
No, I don't think that's a good idea. I think that there's certain elements of it that are correct. I think proactively recognizing a Palestinian state would essentially be rewarding an act of terror that was perpetrated into Israel. So it's a super bad idea in that regard.
So we have this individual that in this article advocating that Gaza's waterfront property could be very valuable. Now we know what's going on in Jabalia. We know that there's death queues. We know that they want mercenaries, to be sent there, private mercenaries. And in regards to private mercenaries, this completely muddies the water when it comes to holding imperialism accountable, the root of it all, because when these private institutions get implemented, all of the accountability is put onto them, and none of the accountability is put onto those that paid them to do it. And that happens numerous times. Going back to Blackwater. Blackwater is a subsidiary company of the same company of this douchebag on screen right now, and they were up in charge of a humanitarian zone for which they killed 34 Iraqi civilians. So again, these mercenaries are nothing more, nothing less than walking, talking demons, in my opinion. When you subjugate, a mass group of people to this type of shit, is diabolical. And we have Al Jazeera that was able to uncover that this is their plan, is to completely move in, erase Palestinians, as Jared Kushner, which is the son-in-law of Agent Orange, also known as Donald Trump, is advocating for there to be no Palestinian Authority, for Israel to take control of the land, and to allow who and whoever they want to come back. And if they don't allow anybody to come back, then that's their prerogative. That's the mindset of these imperialists. And so their end result is to do this. Israel real estate firm pushes settlement building in Gaza, and they continue to do it, and they're open about it in this video.
בוקר טוב למשפחת הרי זהב. אנחנו נמצאים פה בתרגיל בצפון וחי"ר. יש פה כמה פצועים שנפלו בכוח.
מה נשמע הרי זהב? וואי, מתגעגע לכם. אנחנו כאן בלב עזה.
This is the guy who owns the real estate company that is building settlements in Gaza. So this is the Zionist that is complicit in the genocide and the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Should be held accountable to, I want to know if he has PTSD for what he's seen, if this man is even alive still. But yeah.
So that German looking guy, when they say you being anti-Semitic, that's who we supposed to be. People is crazy, man.
And so in that video, as it was described, they said that they aren't aware or aren't fully aware of what exactly is the end result. But I would have to say that at this point, since that was back in March, that video that was put out, or actually that was last year where they uncovered that story. And fast forward to these two articles, one of which was the Jared Kushner Guardian, was in March. The drop site just barely was dropped less than 10 days ago. And to uncover the fact that this is where they're at now, where they're full-fledged in this mode of exterminating Palestinians in northern Gaza, to then, create these settlements, beachfront property as described in some of the videos, is completely atrocious. But this is all at the behest of imperialism. This is all to suit imperialism, their expansion, which is why they're doing what they're doing to South Lebanon. And they're getting their ass packed the fuck up. you know, regardless of you know, Jared talking about all that money was spent on tunnels and and they could have spent it on schools. Well, guess what, buddy? 2,000-pound bunker buster fucking bombs just destroyed all of the fucking infrastructure that is in Gaza. So, you know, he can sit there and try and act like he knows what the fuck he's talking about, but he knows in the words of Mike Epps, he knows neither nada nothing. Okay, he don't know shit when it comes to what's going on, because his sole motivating purpose is to manipulate the masses, particularly the white masses, into believing that this is something that's justifiable. This is not justifiable. There's no justifying ethnic cleansing, exterminating a whole group of people, and then at the same time, you know, playing face, you know, throwing rocks in a glass house and hiding your hand. You know, that's equivalent to what Israel is in Western imperialism is in West Asia. And so that's my report. I'd love to get down and break down and have a discussion on this in closing, in regards to how this is just fucked up, man. Like the death queues,
man.
You know, we're seeing Nazi Germany in 4K, man. Like this is like I don't get how we still have people out there trying to justify this
Nazi Germany. Yeah, I mean that's I guess like as far as just like recent, you know, genocides and you know, you can look at Nazi Germany, but I mean United States of America, man, I don't let them off the hook. That's where I'm at, right? That's where we are. I mean, that's what Israel is doing is a complete is reminiscent of what the United States of America has done, or what the British Empire did, right? And if we look at, they're talking about giving, whether, you know, this land would be given back to the people of Gaza, and the guy, you know, and that's being interviewed acting like he don't know. He know what's going to happen, right?
You know damn well what's going on.
They're not going to let those people, the Palestinians, back into Gaza. But I mean, we look at the United States. How much land did they give back to the indigenous people? You know, like,
and then,
I mean, they don't.
100 later come back and take some of it back. You know,
they don't have a track record for giving people, you know, their land back. You know, if they do, it is definitely not going to be what they had taken. It won't even be a quarter of what they had
right.
taken. You know what I'm saying? And you know, again, just like looking at the United States, there's always, you know, this pretext to commit genocide. Look at the history of the War. I think is or the Pequot, you know, genocide, right? They call it Pequot War, you know, but the Pequot genocide, redefine that that took place. You know, the pretext, as far as the record, what the history says, was the of a hunter, English hunter, someone that they didn't even like. You know, the story goes like they didn't even like this guy. It was just used as a pretext to take more land from the Native Americans, and then they end up, you know, committing genocide, killing off most of the people, selling some of the survivors into slavery, into sending them to the Caribbean, and then they wanted to remove the name of the Pequots from the historical record, so that people even know that they existed. What I'm saying, like, this is, and with the Native Americans who participated on the side of the English against the Pequot, you know, what they said, they never seen anything like it. You know, their conflicts never had the intention of wiping out an entire group of people, and so they witnessed, you know, the genocidal tendencies of the European, you know, up close and personal, and it ended up happening to, you know, most of the tribes who were siding with the Europeans, unfortunately. But that goes to show, man, like, you know, you can't side with the imperialists, man, because you're going to end up on the wrong end of the stick eventually. your time is coming. You know, it's the Palestinians today, and it's you tomorrow. It's you tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
Anybody that participated with these imperialists, man, that was, you know, that wasn't of the same identity, end up being.
People forget Saddam Hussein was an ally of
what? What? Man, you can go through throughout history and see what these people have done, man, to their so-called allies and friends, man. They're only for themselves, right? And that's capitalism. Everything that's going on too there, as you can see, like they talking about beachfronts, man. All of this is driven by capitalist greed. You know, small group of people.
That and it enables, you know, what I like to call digital piracy, because they go and they rape these countries, you know, like the banks that they've been blowing up. They're saying that they're attacking infrastructure that is quote unquote terrorist, as Leia, you know, said that they described. Well, if that's the case, then anybody that's funding the Israeli occupation, that bank got to go. That bank got to go.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't live in a society that really looks at that as, like, you know, the double standards that is imperialism. We just, you know, consistently keep, again, it goes back to what you were saying. You know, we got so many people like our brother that was on, you know, people on the train and shit, you know, people just trying to go to work and yada yada, you know, they're not, you know, and they create these little microaggressions and shit, you know. It's like you got more smoke for the brother that's preaching on the train than you do about the genocide that's going on right now. Like that's the world that we live in. Is that people they pick and choose their little microaggressions, you know, so that it suits their need. You know, we live in a stressful fucking world, bro. And I wouldn't doubt it if motherfuckers create their own stress just to fucking, like, fuck, I ain't had my daily dose of stress yet today. Let me fuck somebody's day up, you know.
But we can, you know, we can change all of this, man. Like the people get organized. That's why that's why they try to crack down on protests and rallies, because they know like that is a way to disrupt and force their hand, make them have to make these changes in policy, you know. And so they try to crack down on that, arrest folks, you know, demoralize you so you don't continue to. But because they ultimately they want to sit back and make the decisions on their own. They don't want the people to have any say in those policy decisions. They want to set the table, right? And so the only way that we have our voices heard really is by hitting the streets, by organized, right? And just, you know, protesting against their actions. But what they want us to be quiet, you know, shut up and let us make all these decisions. But if we let that happen, man, you see what's happening. Genocide has been going on for over a year. So the only way that they're going to stop doing what they're doing is that we turn shit up. Like we start, like, I ain't even gonna say, but but that's the only way, man. Only way that they're gonna be like, oh, okay, you know, we gonna have to sit down with they can stop. There could be a ceasefire tomorrow. There could be a ceasefire tomorrow. America doesn't want a ceasefire.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
It's entrenched in imperialism. It wants mass escalation. That's what keeping shit afloat. Is the destruction.
That's
is
the reality.
The you know, the mass disabling of regions and countries and shit. And it goes, you know, you said something that goes back to what Yahya Sinwar said, who was just martyred. He was the head of Hamas, the leader of Hamas. He was a refugee. Homeboy grew up in a concentration camp. Okay. He said, what the fuck do you want us to be, polite victims? Like, you want us to just sit back and fucking watch? Like, we're just supposed to take it, you know? Like, how would you, like, in this case, if you were in my shoes, but you never will be because you're a fucking oppressor, how would you, you know, feel in this moment? And I also want to read something too, because we have a lot of fucking people out there that love to talk about Che and love to talk.
He pulling the book out on y'all. I got him stopped.
You know, we gotta really understand, you know, what Israel is
Oh,
doing,
give me 1 second.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What Israel is doing versus what resistance forces do under the lens and under the guise of what we consider guerrilla warfare. Okay, so this is page 61. This is from section guerrilla labeled guerrilla tactics. It says acts of sabotage are very important. It is necessary to distinguish clearly between sabotage, a revolutionary and highly effective method of warfare, and terrorism, a measure that is generally ineffective and indiscriminate in its result, since it often makes victims of innocent people and destroys a large number of lives that would be valuable to the revolution. It says terrorism should be considered a valuable tactic when it is used to put to death some noted leader of the oppressed forces, well known for his cruelty, his efficiency, his repression, his sufficiency in repression, or other quality that makes his elimination useful. But the killing of a person of small importance is never advisable, since it brings on an increase of reprisals, including deaths. There is no point very much in controversy and opinions about terrorism. Many consider it that its use by provoking police oppression hinders all more or less legal to semi-clandestine contact with the masses. So again, under the lens of Che Guevara, okay, what Israel is doing is fucking terrorism. What Hamas is doing is considered an act of resistance, because they're not targeting. For one, you can't be a civilian if you're a fucking settler. I'm gonna point that out. Okay, these people that live in so-called Israel are settlers, so they have no civility there. So anything that happens to them, hey, well, we can refer back to the beginning of the video that we had where it was the fuck around find out graph. That's, they're gonna have to do the little graphing and figure out how much they fucked up to fuck around to find out. That's them. That's what we're at this stage. What anything that I see the Palestinian resistance axis doing, I see it as a form of solidarity, a form of self-determination. Frantz Fanon was here. He would call that what it is they are acting against against a colonial power, utilizing their needs, to understand, to get them what is deserved, which is liberation. So under the guise of even Che Guevara, Frantz Fanon, Walter Rodney, Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, Edward Said, contemporary writers, contemporary journalists like Laith Maruth, we are all on the same tip of understanding one clear notion, is that anything that Israel does is an act of terrorism and works in reciprocity with U.S. imperialism. And anything that the resistance forces do, okay, is an act of self-determination and an act of self-defense against an opposing and oppressing power. So that's where we're at right now. And so I'm hoping this segment really resonated with people, because I did spend some time on this. So do y'all speak on Arabs taking money out of the Black community on putting us back in
real quick though? I mean, yeah, but to that point, I mean, of course folks talks about, like, we talk about any form of oppression, exploitation that takes place from any group of people. We talk about even, the neo-colonialist Africans who do that in our community. Like, no one's exempt.
Exactly.
No one's exempt. You know what I'm saying when it comes to this. But when it comes to the genocide that takes place, that the working class and the poor who are mostly affected by these decisions that's being made by the ruling class, like, we gonna speak on that, man, because we know how it affects all of us. The same people who are doing it to those Palestinians, women and children, are doing it to us. Like, there is no, they're not, the people who are suffering are not making decisions to commit genocide against African people. You know what I'm saying? They are victims like the Africans are victims wherever we are. So until we understand that, man, we're gonna end up fighting each other and weaken ourselves and become vulnerable, to the genocide that's taking place, man, to these atrocities that are taking place against all of us at the end of the day. And because somebody don't understand that, that may be oppressed and exploited, and they don't understand that, that's not going to take away my humanity.
Right.
I'm not going to let another person's ignorance, turn me into some cold, heartless person and be like, man, F them. They don't care. Nah, that's ridiculous. That's how Europeans think, man.
Well, that's
You
how
know
the
what I'm saying?
Europeans want us to think.
That's how they want us to think. Yeah.
We are doing,
And
as
let me
Dr.
take that back. That's a blanket statement because I don't want them to say I'm racist. That's how a lot of Europeans.
Yeah. Dr. Marimba, we can't be racist to these snow roaches, man. I'm sorry.
Like I said, that's how a lot of them think. So can't just make a blanket statement. Like
Dr. Marimba Ani, said it best. Is that we are at a stage in imperialism, a stage of indoctrination, where there are people who look like us that are doing the work, that are doing the bidding of this system. And so we got to take note of that. We got to move strategically. We got to highlight again. We just used 3 articles to justify why this is wrong, and what they're doing stands firm in lockstep with settler colonialism. Whether that be the death queues, whether that be the $200 million mercenary a deal that Netanyahu approved for a pilot. Again, it's a pilot. A pilot means they greenlit the shit. Okay, they greenlit it. Like at this point, it's happening. We are seeing it in work in current time via these death queues. So yeah, I'm hoping everybody enjoyed the show. I don't want to keep us for too long because we did go over the 2-hour mark.
We went over the hour mark.
We were supposed to only do like an hour. But yeah, you guys got 2 hours out of us. We had a press release, gave you guys some updates on what's going on in the prison system regarding Black women, Black trans women. And so yeah, I think it might be a time for us to close out. You want to plug anything before we go? I know I got my show that comes on at 9 on my network, the Indigenous Nightmare Network. I'm beginning into Decolonial Parallels, which is where we do kind of like a breakdown of current shows and shit. So we just recently found out or uncovered in the Agatha All Along and Marvel and stuff like that they're propagating a lot of Zionist rhetoric in there, and I just I've been pointing it out. But yeah, we on Thursdays like to have fun on my network and kind of cut loose, because Saturday we go in depth, Wednesday we go in depth, and then Monday we go in depth. We got to get you on Ikembo on Monday to talk basketball, dude, because you're the only one that I think out of all the basketball heads that I know, all the ball chasers. I don't think we've had you on for your perspective. I know your 76ers ain't gonna be doing too good this year if Paul George is looking the way he's looking. That man was put on skates not once, not twice.
Man, nah, he's not gonna pull me into this, man.
He said I'm not gonna go to
I ain't worried about none of them folks. I ain't worried about none of them fools. It's too much going on right now. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. Like I do keep up with the stats. Like box scores and all of that. But I don't watch too much of anything. These man. I try to stay away from it.
Okay,
but I'm down for a discussion, whatever, like I'm still
because on Mondays we have a different approach to it, like me and Fernando, because Fernando is one of the co-hosts over there too, when he's available. Trying to find avenues. Like I got a connection to the Palestinian Basketball Federation, and so I'm just hoping that we can have more well-rounded conversations with them. But me and Fernando, like, and my co-host, we were like trying to find history or portions in time where like socialist aesthetics were implemented into the game of basketball. Because like when people think of like post-liberation and stuff like that, obviously people are going to be like, oh, the Lakers going to be a part of this? And it's like, not really. And the facet that you think, it's going to be ran completely different. And so we were looking at like Chinese socialist models, looking at Cuban socialist models that might have addressed sports and that from that level. And we both, all three of us went down our own little rabbit holes and, came to the same conclusion that there isn't really something that's out there. So maybe it could be created. But
decolonize sports.
Yeah, like we're fully engaged in getting people to understand, like I think it was yesterday I talked about, how the NBA hasn't said anything about Palestine. And I said, well, that's by design, because it's an institution that's implemented to only suit the needs of white folks. And then when there's an outcry for Black people, an outcry for other, oppressed nations, we get this neoliberal approach. Like we had ballers in 2020 saying go out and vote for Biden because we didn't want Trump for another 4 years. Okay. Now the same administration that they said to go and vote for has created more cop cities than any fucking administration in fucking history. But again, we all know that these administrations work in lockstep. So Project 2025 is a bipartisan project. Whether Trump's in power or Harris is in power, Project 2025 will in some capacity be implemented. It already is. It's not the start, it's the culmination of a project that since Barack Obama, as Glenn Ford pointed out, was a huge advocate of the Heritage Foundation, even donated to that foundation. So again, Obama has his hand in Project 2025. Trump has his hands in Project 2025. He accelerated it, is what Trump did. He just accelerated it in those 4 years that he was in power. So, Mondays we try and make those connections, and try and say, well, this person, if you look at the reason why, Salal was the former Jets coach was kicked. We get into a bunch of stuff on that day, dude. So I really encourage you to come on.
Hey, you got me, man. Don't worry. All you got to do is call. Like that's all, and I'm there for it. But you raised a point too about I think you said Palestine. You were making a point about just like not knowing what's going on in Palestine and something along those lines. But it made me think about Sudan, and remember the U.S. team was playing South Sudan and
South Sudan, which is monetarily funded by the U.S., which is wild.
Yeah, but it was just the ignorance around, what South Sudan had went through and how it became, an independent state. But even just the mentioning of Sudan and what's taking place in the Republic of Sudan, right now in real time, with the ethnic cleansing, the genocide that's taking place there, and the eternal conflict and war that is affecting South Sudan now, because that is a place that is a place of refuge for those people who are in the Republic of Sudan. So just like the ignorance around what is happening in that part of the world, and even taking the opportunity to bring that to light, right? So that more people understand, that history and what's happening currently. That opportunity presented itself and no one took advantage. And this was during the Olympics, the Olympics where everyone around the world is like tuning in. So as everyone around the world is tuning into this sport, these atrocities are taking place, right? And it's like nobody is concerned, nobody cares. Let's just continue to play our sport, right? And to distract everyone.
Well, and that's what they're doing now. Like we have, I seen the commercials for I was watching Lakers versus Timberwolves, and it cut to break, and immediately when it cut to break, it was like it was showing like Renee Montgomery, who is the owner of Atlanta Dream. Any of those who follow my channel know that I used to be a correspondent for the Atlanta Dream. I turned down a contract to be a beat writer for Atlanta Dream, so that I could, pursue my own, endeavors of geopolitical analysis and decolonial thought and theory via broadcasting. And so, yeah, Renee Montgomery was was brought in to silence something that is still prevalent in the WNBA, which is fucking racism. Renee Montgomery was named CEO, or head of basketball operate, was named owner of the Atlanta Dream, to silence racism, to silence misogyny that's going on in the NBA, so that then they could work to create this false narrative that there's reverse racism in the WNBA, and that Caitlin Clark is being subjugated to racism. This little old white world.
Bring me in for that conversation, man. Caitlin Clark, I got a lot to say about that. I ain't going front, man.
But nonetheless,
might not like
they're doing
what I
the
got
same
to say.
thing. They're doing the same fucking thing in these commercials, advocating for people to go out there and vote. They're not saying go and vote Biden, or go like how they or vote. They weren't saying it even in 2020, go and vote Biden. They were just saying vote. But in utilizing this scarcity, a Project 2025, and I'm seeing all of the commercials, Kamala Harris, on there talking about, you better thank a union, changing her voice, every which way she possibly can.
Yeah, just like it too.
You better thank a union. She put in, she tapped into that Kennedy,
Oh my. This is getting funny.
U.S. citizens, just type real into it. I thought that shit was
so
fun.
fake, boy. It's crazy.
Exactly.
She
There's
playing
no
the
such thing
game
as reverse racism. Exactly. And I have an article in regards to this when I talked about the WNBA that you guys can check out on Patreon. Which is that it's a free Patreon, so you guys can go and sign up. You only pay if you want to. But nonetheless, they're propagating the same shit, and we're seeing it in real time, and we'll probably be talking about that on Monday. I know my co-host Ryan was in here, and said, don't forget when Obama told the NBA not to strike for Black lives in the bubble. Exactly. Again, but that's the Hooper in chief, so to say. But yeah, we will. I think we
real quick. I know we, but you made another point. I swear we about to close this joint out.
We're gonna be here for another hour.
But just the point, like, people have to also be conscious of, because you made the point, man. It's your fault, because you be talking, you be making these points, but you said something about Harris and Project 25. People have to understand, like, these is the America agenda, and there may be like slight differences between the two, parties. Of course, comes to what the state or what the federal government can do and not do, and a few other things, man. But there's the single American agenda, and when it comes to the presidency, they're going to sit down, with conservatives, liberals. Like, there's people who are going to be quote unquote objective, right? And what do you call that? Bipartisan, right? Or bipartisan or nonpartisan, who's going to sit down, and they're going to come to the president, and they're going to say, hey, I understand that all of these campaign promises you made, but this is the quote unquote like reality of the situation. And these are the decisions that need to be made. Right. And because the same thing happened with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton made all promises, but when he was elected, he didn't fulfill any of those promises. And you had the Jeffrey Sachs and the Newt Gingriches. They would come in and they would tell them, like, this is the reality, man. This is what's happening internationally. That's what's going to happen with Kamala gets in. They're going to say, hey, this is what's going on in Israel, with the Palestinians and all of that. Yeah, it sounds good, whatever, even though she ain't saying anything really. But she's not going to do anything different than Trump when it comes to the policy in the Middle East. Believe that, man.
$5
Like
million
what?
in APAC money. She is aligned her pockets with the same power that is propagating her as this good individual. It is again, I'm using a term, malarkey. It is
Sound like Biden right now, man.
Exactly. We can get our asses up out of here.
All right, let's get up out of here. Hey, man, gotta respect the folks, man. Though a lot of folks, they stuck in here with us, man.
Yeah, I want to say thank you.
Isaac wanted to give y'all an hour. I'm putting them out there.
You know what? I got some comments that came my way. Someone saying that they wanted less giggling and whatnot. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. I'm not gonna change the way that I give media. That's like me asking you to shut the hell up. It ain't gonna happen, obviously, because you got your own mouth. You know, I don't like the tone policing. I don't like people trying to make people. If you don't like watching me, hey, be on when Kalanji's on, be on when Natasha's on. You know, I don't really care. I'm here for liberation, and I'm here to give my audience that tunes in here and give the people here that tune in to see the Rise Up Morning Show what is deserved. So any of that other bullshit, I'm not here for. Okay,
you good, comrade.
So, everybody in the comments that says positive things, that says things that are productive, I have no problem with. But there are people in these comments after this show gets uploaded that really fucking think that they shit don't fucking stink. And I don't think that I really want to pressure people. You know, I really want to pressure people to look themselves in the mirror and really, really hone in, because I'm on camera putting myself at risk, my family, talking about geopolitics. I don't see you anywhere doing that. I see you on a YouTube account with 30 subscribers telling me to stop fucking giggling. So, that's my rant. I love everybody that watches this show. If you watch this show to just banter and complain, then that's a waste of time. That's a waste of time and energy, and you must be a miserable ass person.
Where my blade at, man? I'm gonna bring my blade when I get on with you. I'm coming strapped when I get on with you. Now I know, man. Like I gotta always come prepared to rumble. It's all good, like I'm ready. My mindset is gonna be there anytime I get on, man. Nah, you be getting it, man. Don't worry about the
exactly. I'm gonna giggle more.
Don't worry about the 1%, man. Shit, I be giggling with you, man. I love a good laugh. I love a good laugh. And I know, I want to be serious. And y'all know when I'm serious. I'm always serious, but I love a good laugh.
Yeah, I know when he's serious. He be chilling back here. His things be like this, or he be fiddling with stuff, Yeah,
that's me. I can't stay still, man. That's
Nah, I got a bad fucking back. That's why my ass is doing all of this shit.
Hey, I ain't gonna front though. My back, and here we are. We still going, but my back was definitely hurting too. That was another thing, but we definitely need to wrap up, man.
Exactly. Shout out to everybody on the Rise Up crew. You probably see me tomorrow in the recording. If not, then you guys will see me next week. This is the Rise Up Morning Show. I am Isaac Jasper. This is Ikemba Ojore, also known as Dr. Balante. Again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next one.
All right, rise up.
Mask up, everybody.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one, where the battle is to love yourself and function in society, where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pulled. And we move, reactionary warfare, never produces when it's on the field. Feeble and foolish, what tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution, it's real solutions. What we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. Like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution, it's real solutions. Where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy.